Hey guys, welcome to How to Make It in Toronto. It's your host Carl here. Today I'm really excited to be sitting down with Manuela, CEO at Isomers Skincare. I've known Manuela for about 4 years now. We happen to meet in a dog park. Our dogs are very much best friends and see each other all the time. And I got the chance to get to know her, finding out that she is one of the top CEOs in the skincare industry here in Canada and worldwide. And learning different insights and different conversations I've had with her. She's always taking the time to explain to me, different campaigns she's working on and how she works with other people. So obviously, I figured she'd be a great guest to have on here today, sharing some of her skills, her experience, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy today's lesson. Enjoy the show.
Hi there, I'm Manuela Marchegianni, co-founder and CEO of Isomers Skincare. We're based out of Toronto, Canada. We're a cosmetic manufacturing facility. We do research and development. We do skin testing. We do private label and innovation. I've been doing this for over 25 years, almost 30 years. And we're based in science. And we've been very successful at creating problem-solving skincare, innovation and technology, and having an amazing reputation worldwide as business people and as scientists. So I hope you enjoy our conversation today.
What's your definition of success?
Success? Well, my definition of success changes. It's changed throughout the years, actually. So in the beginning, I think my definition, when I was younger, my definition of success would have been money, right? So it would have been, I need to have money so that I can have a house. I need to have money so that I can finish school or be able to travel, right? And then, and also make sure my children were able to go to school and take care of my family and things like that. So people of my immediate family, for me, success was doing that. And then I guess in my 30s and 40s, success changed. And success meant doing what I was doing well, regardless of what the money was. And it was about success for me. And now success, and it still maintained that there's something more than just being wealthy or making money. It's about creating something that has a good reputation, has morality to it, has integrity to it, because it's part of your legacy. So for me, the success is from being very good at what I do, and knowing that I can sleep at night, and knowing that my reputation is really good, and then knowing that I'm helping people at the same time. And I think that's more valuable than anything, because it's your legacy and you're doing something larger than yourself.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that definition of success. I truly do think it does change, because your goals will change and you'll adapt to life as you're going along as well, right?
Yeah, well, you have goals, right? So I think I always had goals. I always have goals, and I used to do this more than I do it now, and I need to go back to doing it because it's very, very helpful. Is that you start your year, or every once in a while you stop everything you're doing and you kind of reevaluate your situation, and you start saying, okay, what do I want to do in the next 3 months or year or 2 years or 5 years? And you've got to go and see, what is it that I'm aiming for, right? What are the things that I need to do? And I just think that when I do that, it's very interesting how quickly I achieve these goals, right? How quickly I can hit this number, or develop that product, or get to that market, or create this other concept, And then when I get there, you can't just say, well, now I have it, I stop. No, then that's the time where I'm like, okay, so what's my next goal? Next goal. So you never really stop. So once you arrive someplace, you go into your next destination. And I think that that's very interesting. That's like growth, right? It just keeps going.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'll definitely say that's probably one of the things that's either helped me progress or something that you've learned, is that every single time you kind of have to start afresh and kind of be prepared to, go through the rigors of learning and then moving forward. Absolutely. And developing that skill. So let's start with, how did you get started? Like, obviously you've got, there's Isomers, which is your skincare company. Were you always interested in working in skincare?
No. I absolutely not. This is the last thing I would have thought that I would have been doing. I thought I was going to go either into veterinary medicine or medicine itself. And then when I failed at that just in high school level, I failed at that because I realized I'm not very good with blood.
Yeah.
And so I would constantly faint. So it's almost like, okay, this is something I wanted to do. I'm also very good writer. So I thought, okay, I'll go into journalism and go into university. And so I was a little bit more open, even thinking maybe politics. I guess like journalistic. I really liked Oriana Fallaci. So she was like an inspiration for me. She was someone who always interviewed very smart, intelligent people who were very powerful. So I always liked learning from people who are very successful. So I had this thing. And then when I was in university, I also had a really bad skin condition, a lot of rashes. I had an autoimmune disorder, and University of Toronto is very big. So you don't really meet people in the university. My brother is 11 years older than me, and he was already at the university. He was an engineer. And he said to me, one of the best things you can do while you're in university is join a club. So I joined the karate club with him, and I met Darius there, and he was in the sciences. So then I switched to sciences, and because of my condition, he was working on his thesis on vitamin A for vision. And he was saying, if you take this isomer and you flip it around, it's also really good for your skin. And it was like, really? Can you do that? It's the 11 cis retinol.
Yeah.
And so that's where they get retinol or retinoic acid from. So it's just a different isomer. It's just a different configuration of this molecule. And so he said, I think we can figure this out, because there was nothing on the market that was helping me. And so we took, an idea and a blender, my mother's blender, avocado green blender, and we started making solutions in his bachelor apartment. And other people started to ask me, like, where are you going? Who are you seeing? Why is this going away all of a sudden? And I said, something we make ourselves. Well, can you help me then? And people were coming out of the woodwork with, now they needed help. And so we realized we were really, really good at formulating. And that's how we started. So we were accidental business people.
That's awesome. Is that where you got the name Isomers from?
Exactly.
That's
it
really
was
cool.
Because it all started with isomeric chemistry and the isomer itself. So it's a molecule with certain integrity and functionality. So we thought, and what we wanted to do too was we wanted to create, very similar to how we are. We wanted to be able to have something that had structure and integrity and truth to it and purpose. And we've never really wavered from that, because we came from incredibly humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And so, we literally didn't have two nickels to rub together.
Yeah.
So everything we did to make our products, that's why it started that's why we had to steal a blender. We went to bottling companies and asked for samples of bottles. Like, that's how we started. We learned how to make our own labels. We would get a printing machine and we would print out the label and we try to design it ourselves because we couldn't afford graphic arts or whatever. And so we do that. And then we figured out how to take shipping tape, the clear tape.
Yeah.
And we'd put it over the label.
Yeah.
And then we'd cut it with a guillotine and then we'd peel it off. So we tried to create our own, waterproof labels. And we put them on bottles and tell everybody, and once we went on to TV shopping, because we're terrible salespeople, but we thought with TV shopping, it's like the scientists can speak. We had like 700 that they ordered. So we're thinking, how are we going to cut 700? So we're getting those Avery label sheets and making the labels and cutting them and taping them. So we did it all. We did it all. We didn't say no to anything. We just tried to figure out what are we going to learn? And we felt that if you come from something that's very truthful and very authentic and you have very good intention and you make something that you don't have to say anything anymore, it works so well, people will come. And that's what we found over the years.
So, based on, obviously, you weren't originally going into kind of cosmetics when you started off, and you said you were looking more sort of work in politics. What kind of natural skills do you think that you had? Because obviously, being a CEO now and obviously selling now, as you mentioned, you guys aren't sellers. What was it that you were looking to start with from an educational background, and how did you get to where you are now?
Well, I think that if I had followed my passion, I would probably be a starving artist.
Yeah.
But I followed what I was good at.
Yeah.
And then the passion came, right? So I followed what I was good at, and I'm also very good at taking something complicated and making it very simple, or making it very understandable. So I can take something scientific, something that usually is over people's heads, and I can turn it into like an analogy of food or something else, and then make that concept very, very usable and understandable. And so I think my skills of like communication was very important, and organization is extremely important, and just being able to follow what I was good at. And then, as I said, the passion comes from that. If I followed my passion, I would be struggling against my actual skills. Because it's funny how people think that their skills and their passion align.
Yeah.
But they don't, right? You could want to be, like somebody could want to be a really good cook, right? And then you can get every recipe out there, but you start putting stuff together, it's like, I just can't get it. Like, it just doesn't work. But on the other hand, you're an amazing, singer or songwriter or dancer. Well, that's, follow your skill. Your passion will come.
Exactly. So I would say, like, what kind of obstacles did you face when you were starting out, which developed the skills for you to continue to build the business? Because I'm sure when you started off, you weren't sure what you guys were doing at first, or going into the cosmetic side. So
what the obstacles were is that we were very small. So you have an industry that's very large and very established, right? And there's a lot of nuances and sophistication in this industry, right? So we know none of it. We don't know anybody. We don't know what a buyer is, or what a contact is, or a distributor. So we had to figure out all of that. And because we're vertically integrated, so we do the innovation, we do the manufacturing, do the packaging, we had to learn all of that. And that's very hard.
you guys are end to end? Like,
We're internet. We're vertically integrated. Absolutely. We created all. These are our formulas, our packaging.
Yeah.
That's why every skill that we learn, that's why we're making our own labels. That's why we're making, because we did all of that. What we also did was we were two people. One, and we decided, what are you really good at? So Darish is really good at formulating better than I am. And I'm really good at the concept, the creativity better than he is. So I can create a formula, or create a system, or create it, abstract, and he can actually make it into the real thing. So we learned not to compete with each other. We learned to play to our strengths. The other thing is, because we're just two people and we're thinking this big, huge world, how are we going to distribute? We went into TV shopping. We went into direct to consumer because of something I saw on City TV, because they had Speaker's Corner.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember.
Right. So you have Speaker's Corner, and that came from something from the UK, where people would actually go and stand on a rock and speak, and you were like the authentic creator of something, or you had something to say. So, when we did that, when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. The actual artisan can speak, or the scientist can speak. Everybody wants to meet the designer or the key person, right? But it's really difficult to, and you usually have sales reps. So you're already 3 or 4 generations removed from the actual person who had that thought. Like, what would you give to meet Leonardo da Vinci? Like, you'd be like,
exactly.
You want to talk to him. We could read about him, but meeting him, or almost meeting him. So we went to direct to, and it was also easy because the distribution was easy. So we were able to create a large voice with one person, and then go to one distribution. Like, we make our product and it goes to their distribution network. So they would do all of the pick and pack for us, and then they would do literally all of the marketing for us. But we were able to control it. So what we did was we thought outside the box. Everybody else was going retail. Everybody else is going, different. We decided, no, we want to keep our message. And when you go retail, it's like that telephone game. The message can change.
Yeah, exactly.
So we wanted to keep it very, very straight and simple, and then just make this distribution simple.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me ask you the question around partnership, because obviously you work with Darish on this and built it as a family. So what would you say makes a good partner? And then what would you say would make a good relationship to move forward, like in regards to the skill set that a person would have?
You have to have complementary skill sets. You have to check your ego. You have to realize that you're part of a team and not compete with the other person. Anytime we've had issues, it's because we forget, to be teammates and that we're not in competition with one another.
Yeah.
Right? So that's really important. And also to have very, very complementary roles, separate roles, and also know what you don't know. And back off when the other person knows more than you. It really works out that way. And then you also have to have a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And I think that the best relationships in business are the ones that they hammer everything out in the beginning, and it gets really ugly in the beginning, but then it's very clear what the roles are going to be and how this is going to play out, as opposed to the ones that do things in good faith and then they're stuck halfway down the road and thinking, oh my God, how did we get here?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who's starting out? Like what's a good, in regards to their mindset of starting a business and then also looking for a partner if they're going to, go down that road? Like, how would you go about it? I would say, like, what are the top 3 things you would look for or tell someone if they're about to start a business?
Why are you starting the business? First of all, I would find out, I would really say, why do you want to do this? What are you doing? What are you doing and why do you want to do it? And then why are you doing it with somebody else and not alone? Like, you really need to understand what it is you're trying to achieve, right? You just want to people just want to start a business, or people want to just get in business, but not everybody should be a business person. Not everybody has the stomach for it. I think that a lot of people, if the why, well, I want to be my own boss, right? I don't want to answer to anybody. You answer to more people when you're your own business, when you have your own business.
Yeah.
Than you do. But okay, so you don't have to answer to the guy that you don't respect in the office, because usually there's that, right? There's like, you have to, your the seniority or however the situation is in a workplace, you have to deal with people that you don't want to, or you don't respect them, or they don't know their job or whatever. So that's difficult. But when you have your own business, you have to deal with those people plus.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So why do you need to realize, if you're starting your own business just because you don't want to deal with, jerks or whatever, that's not, you're going to encounter more, and you have a higher responsibility. Your hours are longer, more people rely on you, and you've got to show up for yourself. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So I would say, why are you starting your business? I started my business because I really feel I'm not employable, actually. Okay. I'm too opinionated. And when I even had part-time jobs or jobs right out of university, I was the person who couldn't be politically correct or say, you know what I mean? I couldn't wait my turn. It's like, who hired you? Why are you here? Right? Yeah. So then I realized, okay, so I'm not good at just being a yes man in an office place. So that was one. The other was because we're really good at what we're doing. So find out why you're doing this. Then when you want to do it, can you do it alone? Like, what skills do you have? What's missing? And your partner shouldn't be your best friend or your buddy, unless you came up with this really good idea and you have a really good. The partner should be somebody who is actually adding value, strategic value to your business. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So let me ask you this. So do you think you are born a CEO or you become a CEO, especially from your perspective, where you came from, obviously building the company from scratch, number one. So you weren't necessarily going into business, were you, when you started?
No, we were not going into business. We were just doing a little project, right? Yeah. I actually think people I think people can learn to be CEOs, but I think there's that good CEOs, good business people are naturally good leaders, right? Yeah. And very good leaders and very good organizers. And they don't get caught up. They're always looking over there. They don't get caught up with what's going on here, right? And I think that that's something that people just have. It's a perspective you have, that you're born with. It's just part of your nature.
Yeah. Awesome. Would you describe for you a time where, like as you're building, the Isomers and you failed, and, what helped you, overcome that failure and how it's helped you in your mindset today?
Well, we fail all the time, but we also, there's a lot of failures where we failed. Well, I think In formulation, there was a few formulas that we made that we failed. And in distribution, there was a few things that we did. But I think it was because we did just rely on that one thing. We actually, we have a plan B. We have a plan C. We don't put all our eggs in one basket. It's not all or nothing in the sense of that actual formula or that distribution, right? So right now with COVID, there was a huge not failure. We were stressed out because most of our business was direct to consumer and traveling. Well, we couldn't travel to do the direct to consumer. So a lot of similar types of businesses, and also those that wanted who needed supplies or who needed product, they actually failed, or they went belly up or whatever. They suffered. We thought of that because we thought about, what if this gets cut off? What if that gets cut off? So we avoided failing by then going to social media, starting to do remote, putting in the microphones and the cameras and the whole thing, and then starting to figure out how to reach different people and make it. And then we donated our laboratory for a couple of months to create sanitizer for.
Oh, no way.
Well, we did that, and when people were charging, I don't know, was it $40 or $20 for a Clorox or whatever? And simultaneously, when that was going on, we were actually giving away product for free because we felt that the city people needed something. We're very fortunate to be able to do what we love, and we're passionate. We make our money from skincare. So this was our way of giving back. Right? So I think that's how we prevented, I don't know, that's how we go around failure. We just do something different.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's like also always having like an alternate plan as well, because you can't expect it to always go well, right?
Well, and then failure, I think failure too is you fail when you stop.
Yeah.
But if you keep going or you go into a different direction, you're just course correcting. That's not really failure. That's just reevaluating in the moment and moving on to something else. But if you stop and you're stuck, now you failed. Because you don't continue, right? So we just shift things around because we've made mistakes. And then even recently, some of our networks have gone belly up, right? Not we didn't do it, but this is just what happens. So what do? Do we stop? Do we allow that failure or that hiccup to cause us to fail? No, we just think, okay, what do we do now to respond to the current situation? And that's something that's also very important. Like, we're based in science, so science doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't change, but it changes a lot. But you actually have to be open to different channels to be able to express yourself, right?
Yeah.
So something that's very traditional like science, but then at the same time, you have to then embrace technology, which is constantly changing. So you've got to merge those two together and be willing to be open and be willing to experiment and make mistakes.
Have you always been naturally like inquisitive in terms of like picking up or asking questions or looking at different industries and being able to learn different skills to get to where you are?
I think I've always been hopeful. So I think that when something happens and when, someone takes away something from me, my response isn't, oh my gosh, that's taken away from me. My thing is, well, what am I going to do now? Oh, I can do this, and then I can do this. So it's like, this doesn't stop me. So I think naturally inquisitive, or naturally, I always want to solve a problem.
Yeah. Right?
So whatever happens, the next problem is the next opportunity.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like kind of looking at it from that perspective. So what would you say is probably like one of the biggest skill sets you think, or one of the most important skills to have if you're going to be an entrepreneur or kind of chase your dream in that sense? Because I'm sure you face a lot of, at least for me, it's like being on the entrepreneurial spaces, people maybe saying your idea is not going to work, or just in general, you face a lot of obstacles because you don't really know where to start. You're dealing with learning a bunch of different skills as you're going. So what do you think is probably one of the most valuable skills that you would need to have in being an entrepreneur and building your own business?
The most valuable skills for entrepreneurs, but also for people in general, I believe, is being able to communicate. First, you need to be able to write. You need to be able to organize your your thoughts, and then you need to be able to communicate those thoughts and do a presentation. I think those are the most important skills, because if you're an entrepreneur, your goal is to sell something to somebody. And if you can't communicate that, and if you can't motivate them, and if you can't make them understand, if you can't, mobilize them to help you, then what's the point? You can have the best whatever it is, but if you aren't able to tell that story in a way that is compelling, convincing,
Yeah.
and the more people you move, the better you can communicate. The more people you move, the better your results will be. So I think that's the most important.
That's awesome. And then so finally, I think we're getting there, right? Yeah. Awesome. Finally, I was going to ask, because you had mentioned that, kind of being an optimistic person, how do you keep your mindset and keep your mind focused on what you're doing and staying positive, especially if you're a CEO? I'm sure you deal with problem after problem after problem, like how do you, or hopefully all good, but I know it's just part of I guess, like being a leader. How do you keep that mindset of like?
It's really hard. It's really hard. I used to wallow in it. I've learned that that's not very constructive, but I am more hopeful or more positive kind of person, I guess, naturally, or problem solving. But I used to get, when there's a problem, and I have an open door policy, and because we do manufacturing, because we do direct to consumer, because we have social media, because we do packaging, it's and finances, whatever, it's not just one kind of issue that I deal with on a daily basis. I deal with like 21 different things, and then life happens. We have children, we have families, you dog, whatever. You have other things that are happening. So what I learned to do was stop focusing on all these problems, right? And what's the issue? Deal with it, and then don't look at it from what went wrong. What went right? What did we do right? And I learned this a while ago, because when we were actually doing some content, and somebody was saying, well, I hate this and I hate that, and this doesn't work and that doesn't work, and I'm just thinking, well, which part of it worked? Well, this and this and this worked. So I said, so if we actually just do that and that and repeat, rinse and repeat, yeah, we're on a better path. Okay. So that's how I basically have learned not to wallow and not to get stuck in the negative, because the negative never ends.
Yeah.
Negative, something positive is very fleeting, and you've got to keep chasing it. But something negative seems to like drag you down into a rabbit hole. And as an entrepreneur, you can't get dragged down, because time is very important. Time is money. And if you've invested resources, everything, you've got to produce things. And if you get caught up in long stories that are negative, you're not going to be able to create the thing that needs to get you out of your mess. You're going to have to look at what worked. What is that, what do I know how to do well? And the other things that you need, if there's something important in your equation that you don't know how to do, then you also need to say, okay, I need to find the person who knows how to do that and help me out of here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And finally, so in terms of how do you, like, if you're going to approach like either an obstacle or a problem, like what's your perspective in the best way? Because like I know some people, maybe you do like a pros and cons kind of list and how you deal with it. Maybe you ask people and do like an ideological perspective of solving the problem. How do you look at problem solving, and where do you start?
Start with research and asking questions.
Yeah.
Like right now we have a problem. We have a problem with certain ingredients that are coming in or becoming much more active, for example, in the space of skincare, anti-aging skincare. We're starting to work on like dermatology lines, right? So we're trying to work on a different level. And because there's a lot of ignorance on the consumer's part, marketing companies are very good at saying that something that sounds really, really, really interesting or real, but it's not scientifically. It's like they're like apples and oranges. They're worlds away. So right now we have a problem where people are saying, well, this ingredient exists and it does all these things. And we're like, no, this is the story that they're telling. So how I do it is I start breaking down, I start doing research. What are the actual facts? Get rid of the noise. And then with the facts, then you put it together and you break it down and you get the proof. And then you start solving the problem and start communicating the problem. So that's what we're doing right now, is basically reevaluate. Like for example, this one I'm talking about, I can't really share too much, but I can share this one. Clean beauty. Everybody hears about clean beauty, right?
Yeah.
So what is clean beauty?
I have no idea.
But everybody talks about clean beauty.
Yeah, exactly.
There's absolutely no standard for
Yeah.
clean beauty. There is no regulatory board. There is no certification. There is no anything. But people are saying, well, I only use product that's clean.
Yeah.
Well, what's the opposite? Dirty product? Like,
Yeah.
so what's clean? So then you have to say, well, this company has their definition. So every company who has that, they say they have clean beauty, has their own definition because it's completely unregulated. But people think it is a standard. So when I say, well, no, we use non-toxic lab-created ingredients. Oh, you're not clean. I'm cleaner than you guys.
Yeah.
If you go by the sense of clean, because toxicity is what you're talking about. So trying to teach people that it's not that you want a clean product, you want a non-toxic product. You want safety, but it's wrapped around something else. So this is a big problem, trying to communicate something that's science-based versus something that people think, they think organic is so good for you and organic is safe. Really? Organic doesn't mean safe.
Yeah.
Organic doesn't mean non-toxic,
Yeah.
Most of the, things out there, you wouldn't go into the woods and eat mushrooms off the ground, right? Because you'd be like, no, they're poisonous, right? But they're organic.
Yeah, that's true, right? If you think about it like that.
And they're clean, technically.
Yeah. So finally, this is the last one for sure. You've accomplished so much, obviously building a company, getting to where you are. Now you're on Canadian TV.
We're international.
Yeah, international.
Canada is small.
Yeah.
Compared to the world. Yeah.
What are you most proud of? Would you say?
What am I most proud of? I think I'm most proud of I'm most proud of my children. Actually, I'm most proud of my kids that through all of this mess that I've done as a business person and traveling and having to commit a lot of time to the business, that they turned out to be amazing humans. And they're, well educated and are good people. So I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to pull off the job of a mom or parent.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a really important, because at the end of the day, I don't think I'm going to worry about, I should have spent one more hour at the office. I want to spend one more hour with my kids, right?
Yeah.
So that's the most proud. The other thing that I'm proud of on business aspect is that I've been doing this for about 30 years now, 25, 30 years, but 25 on TV, through the US and everything. And we have people from day one that are still with us. And I'm very proud to say that we're one of the only companies that have loyal customers or fans that are multi-generational for 2.5 decades, that stick around, that grow with us and believe in us. And so that means that's success to me. So that's more than the money. It's this relationship, because it's all about relationships and it's all about your reputation and what you leave behind. So you're a successful business that when you're gone or when it's done, you've left this beautiful legacy and message. Yeah. So that's what I'm really proud of.
That's perfect. Couldn't have ended way better than that. Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
And getting to speak with us. I hope everything keeps going well. Take care.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Awesome.